things are already starting to heat up when it comes to the Nintendo Direct train for 2026 because Nintendo did have an incredible 2025. There were a lot of great games. Obviously, Nintendo Switch 2 started off very strong, but it keeps on rolling. This is not just about 1 week or 1 day or 1 month. It's about a continuous flow of new games and announcements and new things to get people excited about the platform and continue those record-breaking sales. So there will be a big Nintendo Direct coming up here. We usually get them in February or March, but more recently, it's been February. That's been the target time frame when it comes to the Nintendo Directs per each year. And now we have a first big leak of 2026 in terms of what could happen for a Nintendo Direct this February. We're going to go over that and some of the big games that could be there, including a new 3D Mario game. Surprise, right? New 3D Mario. But before we get into that, I've got a short message from this video's sponsor. Hey everyone, Black Newell here. I am so proud to be sponsoring this video, and I wanted to give away a Steam Deck OLED, but after my second Super Yacht purchase, I only had about $450 or so in my account, so I'm going to be giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 instead, helping out here with the giveaway. All you got to do to enter in to win is subscribe to the channel, PlayerEssence, drop a comment, and like the video, hit the notification bell. Winner will be picked randomly at 150,000 subscribers. So once again, big shout outs to PlayerEssence and go Steam. All right, so getting back into it, let's discuss what's going down with this Nintendo Direct. Shout outs to Comic Book, but also plenty of other places that discussed this rumor. I'm going to be reading off of that. Then we can discuss what is happening here, what's more likely, what's more not. And as someone that's been covering Nintendo for a decade plus now and has been around for pretty much every single Nintendo Direct, covering a lot of them live, I can give you guys a bit more about this, especially if you're more new into Nintendo at this point. So the first Nintendo Direct of 2026 has supposedly leaked, dun dun dun, and it may be happening very soon. As you know, Nintendo fans had to wait all the way until March 27th, 2025 for the first Nintendo Direct last year, but that was the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal and launch year, so that kind of complicated things when it comes to Nintendo Directs. Now, usually the first Direct happens in February, or at least this was the trend between 2019 through 2024, with the earliest happening on February 8th during this run. So perhaps it is fitting that the latest rumor claims that the first Nintendo Direct of 2026 is happening in February and even provides a specific date. Now, the rumor comes the way of a French journalist who goes by the name of Claire Obscure, no, I'm joking, who goes by the way of Be Fun, and who recently made a claim that a huge Nintendo Direct is happening on February 10th, which is a Tuesday. To this end, the date checks out. On top of this, the leaker claims that a new 3D Mario game will be revealed. What? Nintendo making a new 3D Mario? No way. Now, in other words, a new Mario game in the vein of games like Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario 64. Now, there is another insider that we all know about. We know him here very well, Mr. Nate the freaking Hate. Nate the Hate also kind of chimed in a little bit on this. Nothing really showing his hand or what he knows or not, but didn't outright completely dismiss this one. So interestingly, this leak was brought to the attention of a well-known and reliable Nintendo insider, Mr. Nate the Hate. And while Nate the Hate does not co-sign the report, his response is nonetheless interesting because he does not shoot it down like he has done with bogus rumors in the past. Rather, the fellow insider simply said he has nothing to share on the topic at this point. This has reinforced the validity of the original claim for some. Not for me. Like, I don't think you can reinforce it just because he says I'm not commenting on it, because obviously, yeah, Nintendo will probably do a Direct in February. They probably want to keep some momentum going. They don't have the big triple A type of game when it comes to their own, outside of Pokemon, which that's coming, but that's going to be announced at Pokemon Day. Nintendo does not have that big triple A, big holiday game that people can look forward to this year announced yet. We all know it's coming. Furukawa pretty much laid the table and said, hey, look, we've got games for the popular franchises that everyone's looking forward to, which would be like Mario and Zelda and Pokemon and all that good stuff. But we also have new games as well. So we all know that Direct is coming. They're going to be incredibly important, especially with a $450 plus system. So yeah, Nintendo knows that they got to keep those games coming overall. So it does seem like February could be the time frame here, and February 10th, giving us a specific day. I mean, if it's that day, Nintendo could obviously change that day, but that'd be interesting if that actually worked out to where it was February 10th. Now, all that being said, remember to take all of this with a grain of salt. Nothing is confirmed at this point. Nothing is official. And of course, if everything here is accurate, it could change, like I stated here. So just keep that in mind. Nintendo Direct dates have moved before in the past. They can move again because there are a lot of moving pieces and parts. There's a lot of people that think that Nintendo just drops a Nintendo Direct out of nowhere that they thought about or edited last night or something like that, and it doesn't work like that at all. They got to reach out to so many different partners. Remember guys, there's usually like 20, 30, 40 games at a Nintendo Direct at any point, so they have to go out to those other developers, these third-party ones, and say, hey, what do you have? What do you want to announce? What's going to be going on? What's the release date? You've got to put so many things into place to get a Nintendo Direct to work, plus you have to have the voiceover, the editing, the everything, the audio, everything needs to be perfect when it's synced up and all that. So Nintendo just doesn't randomly decide we're going to snap our fingers and make a Direct happen. They don't do that. They've got to plan it well ahead of time. They've got to edit well ahead of time. They got to get everything set up. So to have a 40-minute to an hour Direct of all these different games and transitions and music and stuff and release dates and all that, it is almost a nightmare at times. I'd probably think that because sometimes even my own videos that I make take a really long time when it comes to some of my compilation videos with multiple different games. I can only imagine something as professional and big as this. This is not a quick thing to do, so keep that in mind as well. So Nintendo has not commented on anything at this point, but of course we'll give you guys the update when they finally do. Usually Nintendo announces a Direct about a day before. They don't give too much time. Now, sometimes they might do it to where it is like 2 days before. In some circumstances, they might do it to where it's a little bit before, to where you know, or even in the Nintendo Switch 2's case, hey, we're going to have another one at this point. So they gave us a pretty big amount of time to let us know, kind of like, okay, it's coming at this point. But like when it comes to normal Nintendo Directs, like if it's February 10th, they're going to announce it on a Monday and it's going to happen then. If it's a February 10th day, they're not going to announce it like the week before. Like they're not going to announce it like on a Sunday or a Saturday, and then say it's this. Now they might have done that before in the past, but I highly doubt for a standard big Nintendo Direct like we usually get in February's, it's going to be where it's announced the day before. So just don't have anything planned. February, don't plan any type of trips anywhere unless you have to. Don't do anything like that because you don't want to get caught to where you can't watch it. I know I'm going to have everything cleared out for February and March. I'm going to make sure everything is clear overall. So yeah, I think that it's definitely possible that February 10th is a time period or around that time period. Tuesdays, Nintendo's have Directs on Tuesdays. I think they've had them on Thursdays. So that seems likely, or that seems like it could happen. The Tuesdays in February are the 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th. So it could be one of those. Or the Thursdays are the 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th. So it also could be one of those as well. I'm guessing Nintendo wants to have that Direct around then because that is going to be right around the time that their financial results are going to come out. So depending on how they did for the end of the year, which will be October, November, December, there could be a lot of momentum, different things to talk about, different news articles that comes out. So if you combine that with 15 million Nintendo Switch 2 sold whenever they announce that in February, combined with a Nintendo Direct that's going to be coming as well, I think that's a really nice 1-2 punch, which Nintendo has done before in the past. So we'll see about that, but February does seem somewhat likely for a Nintendo Direct, but it could go to March as well. All right, let's talk about 3D Mario, because this is something that people always kind of discuss, and it's the funniest thing I see online. It's like people will say, man, Nintendo, they didn't do enough when it comes to the first 6 months or 7 months of the Nintendo Switch 2. They need a 3D Mario. That needs to come out, as if Donkey Kong Bonanza wasn't a thing. But when you look at it, Mario is the linchpin. Mario is the game. Nintendo always has that big Mario announced within the first year. They have to have that ready to go when it comes down to that. Now, I've been a big proponent of the theory that the Odyssey team, Nintendo's Mario team, essentially took the time between Super Mario Odyssey and Donkey Kong Bonanza, and now until this point, to make 2 games. It completely fits in terms of what they said and what they were doing. They wanted to make 2 games because remember, Donkey Kong Bonanza was a Nintendo Switch 1 game at first, and then they realized that the Switch 1 will not be able to handle what they want to do with this game, and around 2021 or so, or 2022, they started moving it over to the Nintendo Switch 2. But there's also another team. They brought in new people to work on Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's a new producer, new people. There are absolutely Koizumi and some of the old school guys that know Odyssey, that know the Mario games, that have been working on 3D Mario for a while now. What were they working on? They weren't all working on Donkey Kong Bonanza. So I absolutely feel that they were working on Donkey Kong Bonanza in addition to the next big 3D Mario game. You have to always be working on the next big 3D Mario game. There's no way that Nintendo waited until after Donkey Kong Bonanza to say, okay, now we're going to do 3D Mario, because then it's not going to be ready for the next 3 to 4 years. There's no way that's happening. There's no way I can even fathom that Nintendo would do that. So I don't think Nintendo's going to have a 3D Mario game that's going to come out like in the next few months. I think it's probably going to be a fall release at the end of the year, or at the bare minimum, they're going to announce it this year and it's going to come out next year. But I don't see them missing the holiday. Most major big 3D Mario games come out right before the end of the year because it's a huge boost to sales. It's a huge boost to Black Friday, huge boost to holiday, Christmas, all of that. It's just something that needs to be there. Now, have they released 3D Mario games outside of that? Sure, when it comes to re-releases or ports or stuff like that. But if you're looking at all of the big Mario games dating all the way back to Mario 64 or dating to Mario Galaxy, all that stuff's always right before. Now, Mario Galaxy 2, that game was like a May, spring-ish type of release, but that was a follow-up. That wasn't the first big Mario game for the platform overall, so you also have to factor that in. So I do think that Nintendo's going to have a 3D Mario ready, and I also think they're going to have a couple other games when it comes to big titles, because like I said before, Mr. Furukawa, he was setting the table. He had an interview the other day, and he talked about how they have stuff ready to go when it comes to big games of popular franchises that people are looking forward to. So that would be exactly like what we're talking about right here. That would be 3D Mario. And I think that he knows. He's like a business dude. He knows what's at stake when it comes down to it. He knows what they need to do when it comes to bringing out new games and getting people to buy the system, because that's going to be the way that people buy the system. A lot of people think that people just go out there and buy the system when it comes to Nintendo just because, like, they're just going to do it just because, and that's not it. People buy Nintendo platforms because of the games. The games sell the system. Now, when it comes to maybe Microsoft or Sony, and maybe in Sony's case, yeah, if you look at their top sales, it's all stuff that's just universal. It's Call of Duty, it's Madden, it's FIFA or FC, it's GTA, it's the stuff that's just out there. It's Fortnite. These are like the top games being sold and being played on PlayStation. So yeah, it's going to sell for them just based off of that, because that's the standard stuff that people are playing. But for Nintendo, their top games are all of the big system seller type games. If you look at the Switch 1, it's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it's Tears of the Kingdom, it's New Super Mario Bros, it's Pokemon, it's Mario Kart, it's Mario Party, it's all of these games. Like, these are the type of games that sell. If Nintendo does not have those games, this system does not sell the way that it sells. They can't sell based off of Fortnite and the upcoming Call of Duty port or NBA 2K or Madden. I mean, that's cool that Nintendo has those games. They have WWE, they have Madden, they have all this stuff, but that's not what's going to sell the system. That's going to be the side stuff. What actually sells the system is the big Nintendo first-party games. The reason why Nintendo Switch 2 even got off to a hot start like it did is because people know that Nintendo's going to release the big games, and Mario Kart was right there. People love Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did incredibly well, 70 million plus. So of course people are like, okay, yeah, I'll pick that up. And then you can play Legend of Zelda. You can play all these Switch 1 games, a lot of them enhanced or running better. You can play Kirby. You can just play all this first-party content. That's the reason why the system is going to do well. And that's the reason why, if Nintendo wants to sell what they want to sell, they're going to have those other big first-party games, which we all know that they're going to put out. So for me, at least, I do think that they have a plan here. Like I stated in that interview, Furukawa, he did talk about this. he talked about a lot of different things too. He talked about making the system accommodating, generous, and forgiving piece of hardware. He talked about a lot of different things that I think that some of the stuff kind of falls in line with what they're doing, but some of the stuff they need to kind of course correct on when it comes down to it. And I think that, which I have a video which I already talked about a lot of that stuff overall, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how they can kind of counteract that with some of the stuff that's been happening when it comes to the prices of RAM and other things like that. But for right now, when it comes down to it, Furukawa also stated that he wants to build excitement leading up to the Mario Galaxy movie. So how do you bring excitement? Well, how about a big 3D Mario as well? Some people are thinking maybe even Mario Galaxy 3 is a potential because of the movie, which I'm not so sure about that. But either way, I think that building excitement would be to have a big brand new 3D Mario game announced, have the movie, then have it drop later in the year. I think that would just be a spectacular 1, 2, 3 punch when it comes to the reveal of the new 3D Mario, the movie that's coming out here in the next number of months, and then a fall release for the game. That would be really good when it comes to Mario. So we'll see about that. But to get to Furukawa's quote exactly, I was looking for here. It says, Nintendo is developing popular series titles that many fans are waiting for, but also completely new software. So there you go. It's happened. He's pretty much kind of showing his hand a little bit. He's showing some of the cards that he has that's ready to go. And once again, Nintendo obviously took a very long time in between the Nintendo Switch 1 and the Nintendo Switch 2. So they've been developing a lot of different games and they have stuff to announce. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what that is when the Nintendo Direct happens. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here? I thought it was a lot of fun to go over it. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.